What's going on, everyone? Welcome back along to the channel. We have had 2 weeks of Super Rugby and it's time to prepare for round number 3. Now today we are flying solo. No guests unfortunately able to make it onto this week's show, but don't worry, plenty more coming up in the next few rounds as well to join us for their predictions and thoughts. So I thought, what better way to do it than just have my recapping thoughts. After a couple of rounds, we've seen all the teams in action. We're going to have a bit of a recap on how things have gone, what I think about how the teams are going, and of course, the predictions for round number 3. But before we get into those 7 matches we have to have a look at, we're going to be going through a few of the housekeeping sort of things from last season, if you remember what they are. Number 1 is going to be yellow cards. Let's take a look at them this season already. Remember last year we had 143 yellow cards already in 1 and a bit rounds. Can you call round 1 really a full round? I don't know. But we've had 11 cards so far in Super Rugby 2018. So get that counter up there straight away. We're well on the way to topping 143. Now, piece number 2 that we need to be having a look at is, of course, the SuperBru picks and the SuperBru fantasy team. So first things first, let's take a look at the leaderboard for the SuperBru picks from the first 2 rounds of the competition. And you can see right on screen there, we have a clear out-and-out winner so far after a couple of rounds with the yellow cap as well. Up a mighty 16 places is NZ Rugby Fan 416. I'm pretty sure that is Christian. If I'm not mistaken, I do recognise the picture. He's off to a great start in 2018, leading the way on 11 points there. But only half a point behind is 3 Crowns 1 and Jono 2028 right behind there, also on 10.5 points as well. That is your top 3. Well done to Christian, if that is you. I'm pretty sure it is you to grab the yellow cap for round number 2. Further on, other players of note that we've got in the league here, Driving Wall, who you've seen on the channel already, sits nicely in 5th, really picking up the pace after, well, by his standards, would be a pretty poor round 1, being down in about 20th spot. So he rockets up now to 5th, and we can see my sides, or my picks here, are down in 14th position. Up 6 though, doing nicely. A couple of 50-50 calls didn't go my way. Could have really been a difference maker early on in the season for me as well. And then, of course, the final guest that we have on the channel that we're going to have a look for here. I know he's here somewhere. There he is, Brett Hartley. What is going on, Brett? What is going on? 33rd and down 3 places? After 2 rounds? What are you doing, son? Get into it. You got to do better than that. Brett's having a shocker so far on the SuperBru picks. But plenty of time to recover. We've only had 2 rounds so far. So a lot of work for poor old Brett to do in the predictor. So further on down we see B. Nichols 9 is the one with the wooden spoon after round 1. Dropping a mighty 52 places from where he was after the first round of the competition. And also along with that, we are running the Fantasy League as well. So we have a look at who is leading the way here. And it is Yal Mato's Outstanding Dinosaurs who comes storming up the leaderboard to take out top spot at the end of round number 2. 443 points. But look who's second. You can't count them out, can you? MFCFO's Blues, the carryover champions from 2017, is right there. Right in the mix as well, and he's pretty close to the Outstanding Dinosaurs as well. Then we have the Sneaky Toilet Actions. I don't know if that's supposed to be sneaky or just sneaky, but regardless of what it is, they sit 3rd and are right up there as well after a good start to the league. Got quite a few teams on a very even amount of points, but it is down with B. Coventry's side where we finally see the yellow cap. Now, I'm not even going to try and say the name of this team. It's the Giant Somethings. That is just a monstrous word. Let's take one shot at it. Here we go. How many edits is this going to take, I wonder? Philanthropists. Philanthropists? I don't even know if that's right or not, but we're going with it. B. Coventry, well done. Yellow cap for you, sir. Now, my team here, the All Flakes do sit in 20th, up a couple of spots as well. And then we have the Western Sharks down here for Brett, who sits 25th, up 7, doing very well to get back up in the green area for Mr. Hartley coming up into the ranks. Further down we go to the bottom. We got, too far. We've got a couple with no picks, no team, so no points. They get the wooden spoon. Shocking stuff from you two guys. Anyway, that is it. That is the formalities over with. We've seen where we're going on SuperBru leagues. We've seen where the yellow cards are sitting as well. Let's get on to the big business of the day. It is the upcoming round 3 matches of Super Rugby 2018. So let's get into it. 7 games. We've got the Blues, Chiefs, we've got the Reds, Brumbies, we've got the Sunwolves, Rebels, we've got Crusaders, Stormers, Sharks, Waratahs, Bulls, Lions, and Jaguares, Hurricanes. Take a deep breath, 7 matches to get through, and I'm the only one covering them. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and of course, remember this is just today, my opinion. You're free to have your own as well. Leave in the comments below. I've had a lot of good feedback from you guys about lots of stuff as well. Things like the Bulls, their amazing round 2 performance, I should say, their first match performance. So bring it on. Every comment is a great comment. Let me know what your thoughts are as well. Your opinion is much welcome on the show as mine. And if you know any guests who would like to come on the show as well and join me in having a talk about the upcoming round of Super Rugby, get in touch with me. You've got many ways you can do that. Come and say hi, and maybe we can get you on here and have a bit of a chat about Super Rugby. Always looking for new guests, new thoughts, new ideas to join the channel and help out with anything we can do as well. So if you're keen on that, interested, do let me know in any ways you can get hold of me through social medias or email, comments, anything like that. Do get in touch. So let's get into it. First game of round number 3 are the Blues versus the Chiefs. Now, a lot to talk about this game as well. As I'll try not to run too long on this. Normally these go for far too long, so I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. So let's go. Blues, Chiefs. Okay, let's start with the Blues. Now, what we saw from the Blues in round 2 in their first matchup was nothing short of extraordinarily promising. Now, as I record this, we have no teams. I try to record this as early in the week as possible so you guys can see what I think about it and have your say as well heading into the weekend's matches. So the Blues I'm very impressed with. Last weekend, I thought they played very, very well. Specific players that we've already pointed out many times before, but it's the key guys, the Sonny Bill Williams, it's the Rieko Ioanis, it's the Matt Duffys, those guys, especially in the back line, that have to stand up. And they did a pretty good job for 50, 60 minutes against the Highlanders before they did fall away completely. I think the Highlanders in that match adapted a lot better. They, of course, are on the bye this week as well, so there's no Highlanders to look to for that excitement action that we've seen from round number 1. But I think the Blues have got that in spades as well and can definitely offer something more to this match versus the Chiefs. Now, key thing here for the Blues is going to be what the weather conditions are like, I think, in this game. We've seen under the roof at Forsyth Bar, the Blues really did adapt to those conditions excellently. They had firm underfoot. It was dry, of course. It really played into what their strengths are, which is their outside backs and the ability to offload, keep the ball alive, and don't let it die in breakdowns as much as they can. They do go a bit silly sometimes, but that is really their big point of difference between them and the other sides. So a wet night, a slippery night could be a bit detrimental here to the Blues if they don't manage to get themselves into that sort of play. Also, most of their forward pack as well, very mobile. I'm talking the likes of Akira Ioane, who loves that open, broken play sort of thing when he can really get running. He's fast, he's strong, but under the wet night, against a pack that could be possibly a bit stronger than the Highlanders, I probably wouldn't say so personally, but anything more difficult than what his own pack is giving him could see him maybe struggle. I'm hoping not. It's going to be the big question about this game as to whether that pack can stand up against a stronger opposition throughout the season. But against the Chiefs, I think they should be surely able to hold their own and give some good deliverance back to that backline that is full of running and full of explosiveness as well. So I'm really liking the Blues. I thought I was thoroughly impressed by their opening game. They really did show a few tricks, but I think they could be quite easily subdued if things don't quickly go their way and they don't stay in the game. They are a team that can drop their head pretty quickly, but weather is going to be big for them to play that style of play they like. The Chiefs, on the other hand, now we see them go down to the Crusaders in a typical Crusaders fashion. Now, I've said this many times in the last week or so, the Crusaders grind you down. They play what they want to play. They control it, and even though they know the score is close, they know the progress bar on how they are grinding their opposition down. Once they've got to a point that they are happy with, then they explode. Yes, against the Chiefs, we've seen that a lot of other factors come into it. But the way that the Chiefs dealt with that, I think bad calls really did kill off the Chiefs. They looked all right, but I think what's going to really hurt the Chiefs is the injuries. Now, they've had a few players go down that opening game for them. None more notable than Charlie Ngatai, who we have talked about already. Is he going to last the season? Well, is he going to last the match? The poor Pawson boy is already under threat of missing quite a few weeks of Super Rugby, which is a huge shame. We've seen that time he had on the field against the Crusaders. He was really, really good. He was hard to take down. He was elusive, destructive, and I think that is a massive loss to the Chiefs. The other thing that I think is going to hamper the Chiefs somewhat is still the adaptation of Damian McKenzie at number 10. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not 100% against McKenzie being a 10, but I just think it's going to take a long time for him to settle, for him to learn what has to be learned and progress into what is the next stage of his career. Now, the sooner he does that, the better for the Chiefs, because they need him to be at his destructive best if they're going to have a good season. That's the way it's got to go, though. That's the plan, and that is what is going to happen with Damian McKenzie this season. If you don't like it, too bad. You've got to learn to deal with it. I think this season is going to be all about him at 10. The players around him, though, they've got some real problems with injuries. Really getting themselves up to speed. I think the Blues definitely had the better opening round of the competition for their side. And you've got to say, after that, the Chiefs did hamper the Crusaders a bit, but I think overall, the Crusaders always had that in their game plan. It's a game plan we know that they do. They really wear down their opponents. It seems close, it seems tight, and then you go, wow, that was a blowout at the end. Was it, though? Was it really a blowout, or is that just the Crusaders at their very best? I'm talking a bit too much about the Crusaders here because I think they were the catalyst behind, ultimately, the downfall of the Chiefs. Although they did hamper themselves quite a bit with their own mistakes, the Crusaders just that clinical that they take them. Are the Blues going to be that clinical against the Chiefs? That's the question. And are the Chiefs going to be able to break down the Blues' defensive line much easier than they did the Crusaders? They did score a few points against the Crusaders as well. So it's going to be one of those games that it's going to be who's going to break down first? Where are they going to find the holes? And whose head will drop first? Who's going to have the experience to keep themselves up above ground level? This match is at Eden Park, and for that reason, it's probably going to tip it in the scales slightly for myself. I'm going against the grain straight away. Straight away, chop the other side of the wood, Blues by 3. Now, you may call me crazy, but this is Super Rugby, my friends. This is Super Rugby. Chiefs have got problems. They got issues with depth. They got issues with learning. They got issues with experience. Big question marks. Issues with confidence. Let's see who come out of that game where they lost out of these two sides with more confidence. The Chiefs or the Blues? I'll take a pretty good bet that the Blues, despite losing that game to the Highlanders, are still pretty happy with how they played because they played some damn good rugby. Chiefs, on the other hand, I think a lot went wrong for the Chiefs. A lot of players going down, a lot of players out, and just a lot of silly things that went wrong for them. They've got to bounce back, and I think the Chiefs are fully capable of winning this game, but you've got to go one side or the other, and I'm going for the Blues. 3 points only, though, in the first game of round number 3. Let's quickly move on because, like I said, I don't want this to go on forever. Seems I've already talked too much about that first match. So, what are you going to do about it? Stay tuned and keep listening to the rest of them. That's what you're going to do about it. Match number 2, we are going to Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. The Queensland Reds versus the Brumbies. Now, last season, the Queensland Reds were a team I quite often, when I started to preview their match, I went, the Queensland Reds. I hoped they was going to be better this season. I didn't have much faith that it was going to be, but you always hope that we're going to see equal performances and tight competition throughout the whole of Super Rugby. The Reds, I can say their first 20 minutes against the Rebels in their opening game was really, really good. And after they lost Higginbotham to the red card and Lachlan too, I think it was, they lost to the yellow card, I thought, yeah, this isn't too bad, actually. I thought they could be really onto something. I thought this is what we want from the Reds. They're 2 men down at that point, and they were scoring tries. I remember thinking to myself, and I think I tweeted out as well, what is going on with Super Rugby when a team of 13 men can beat the super team, Western Rebels? What is going on here? I was amazed. I was impressed by the Queensland Reds. As expected, what's transpired after that was pretty much the fact of being only 14 and 13 men throughout the game. Tired, covering too much space with too few men. It just caught up on them, didn't it? Doesn't mean they're a bad side. I'm not convinced they are a bad side just yet. It probably gave me less faith in backing them in future, but I think that first 20 minutes should give them a bit of faith that they could say, if we had 15 men on the field for that game against the Rebels, we should have won that. For the Rebels, on the other hand, of course, that was groundbreaking changing for them because they needed that victory like nothing else in the world. So, a bad result for the Reds, but I think they're definitely a better team than they showed on that night. They just had too much work to do. And you've got to look at it and say the Rebels probably should have beaten them by more. But the Reds, they've got problems, they've got issues. Are they going to be able to overcome them? Do they have the right man at the helm? Brad Thorne, a great leader, inspirational man at the helm. But is he a tactician? Is he going to win you games through smarts? I do hope that his support staff are very, very good in that area because he is just brute strength man. And I think they got enough brute strength in that Reds team by the way that they lost a couple of players in that matchup versus the Rebels. Their opponents are the Brumbies. Now, you can say much of the same about the Brumbies going to the Sunwolves. It was a bit like, I think everyone that wasn't a Brumbies fan was cheering on the Sunwolves because that would have been an upset for the ages. A great moment it would have been to kick off 2018 Super Rugby season. But the Brumbies, fair play and credit to them. They toughed it up, they got strong, and they did what they had to do. And they closed that game out pretty well too. The second half was much more of a Brumbies game than the first half, where it was all Sunwolves. It was open play, explosive and exciting. Brumbies, they did get control in the second half. They slowed it down, they played their own style, and they ground out a victory, like we're used to seeing from the Brumbies. So that victory will do them good, and I think the little hurry up from the Sunwolves will do them even better, because they could have easily gone there, smashed them by 40, 50 points, and then gone, we are the team. We are Australia. They could have got a bit too cocky for their boots, and that would not have been good for the Brumbies, because everyone's expecting the Brumbies to top the table in Australia. That is a bit of an eye-opener for them straight away. Brumbies so good, grinding out a win, and when they come against the Reds back in Australia, it is at Brisbane, Queensland at home, of course, the Reds, but the Brumbies, I think, is going to be too professional here with this Reds outfit, who are just lacking. Of course, they lost Higginbotham for about 3 weeks as well, so he's going to be out. He really is a core of that back row on that forward pack. They do need him around as much as possible. They do look impressive if they can get themselves together by just sitting against the Brumbies team that's been given a hurry up and is just looking to play that style that they like. If they can get the Reds in that web, they will definitely be the one to take it away. And they strangle them, the Reds, down and just suffocate them almost in their style of rugby. So the Reds, they've got to be expressive and explosive, but I can't see them getting the win here over the Brumbies, and that's why I'm going with the away team by 13 points. 2 games out of the way, let's go to our third match of round number 3. And this is tough here, because we've got the Sunwolves at home against the Rebels. Now, this one is in Tokyo, Prince Shishibu Memorial Stadium. It's a great name, isn't it? You hear the commentators saying it's like Prince Shishibu Stadium, yeah. They really like it over there in Japan as well. So it's a great place, great crowd, great fans, and a great team. Massively impressed by what I've seen with the Sunwolves in round number 2. Expected very little from them. Always have that place, you know, with the weaker team. They're almost my kings now, aren't they? The Sunwolves, they are the underdog. They're expected to lose by a lot. But the fans still turn up, don't they? And they show their passion for their team, which is great to see. I hope another packed house comes to Tokyo for round 3 as well. But they've got to really learn how to control the game. Though they let the Brumbies get away with that. I think they played well enough to win that game against the Brumbies, the Sunwolves. Their backline was so smooth. It was so perfectly executed. There wasn't really many bad passes. Handling was pretty good. It was just a few little mistakes, like the pass into the post was just unforgivable. It's probably a better word. You can't do that. Rookie errors, and the fact of what that margin was at the end of the day in that match, that could have been a big difference between those sides, is that the Sunwolves did actually pick up a bonus point for that, which is no less than they deserved as well. They deserved a lot more out of that game, and I was so impressed with what I've seen from the Sunwolves. The question for me to them is, can they do it again, and will they send me a jersey? Why not? I want to be a Sunwolves supporter as well here in New Zealand. So that is what I'm wanting from the Sunwolves. More of the same. Joseph's got that forward pack ticking along nicely, and Tony Brown has got that back line. He's got it smooth. He's got it operating very, very smooth. But it's just getting that next level where they can control the game, where they can control the tempo, and where they can just dictate the terms of how they want to play. Forward pack was exceptional. They need that first 40 minutes for a whole game. And I think they can beat their opponents, who are the Rebels. Now, I expect the big things from the Rebels in 2018. A bit disappointed with how they played pre-season. And ultimately against the Reds as well. Took a long time to get going despite being a man up. Trailed that match despite being 2 men up. They did finally wake up though. And I feel what's still going to be their biggest obstacle is the continuity in that team. If they can get them all singing off the same song sheet, they really are a good side. Will Guinea got into that match and he just progressively got better and better and better on a straight up progression of form. So he's going to be massively key for them. Just getting in there, playing like a unit and controlling their game is what they need to do. They need to get everyone all playing off the same tactical sheet. That's going to be the biggest obstacle. And for them, I feel the Rebels, a similar problem they got to the Sunwolves, is being able to close out a game. We didn't see any points in the last 20 minutes from the Rebels against the Reds, despite still being a man up as well. Do they let off the gas? You don't do that. It's Super Rugby. Points differential is crucial, and they can't afford to do that against anyone. The Sunwolves, they'll score tries. They'll score tries all day, and they won't give up. They don't really drop their heads. They're always paying 100%. Even if they're not good enough to compete, they'll still give you 100%. And that is what is great about Japanese rugby as a whole, is that they are determined and they're passionate. And they'll give that top-level performance all the time, regardless of result and performance. This is a close one. I found this really, really hard to pick. It was kind of head versus heart a bit with this one. The heart wants to go with the Sunwolves because I was like, that was an inspirational display against the Brumbies. I really, really enjoyed it. But I just have to see this Rebels team get better. This team is too good on paper to not win this game. So it's really tempting to go for the Sunwolves here and at home as well, which I'd love to see them win. But I think overall Rebels are going to be a very, very good side by the end of Super Rugby this season. So I'm going to get this one over the post for them just, and I'm going to go Rebels by 2 points. Yeah, just 2 points is all I think. Just enough to get them over, and then they can carry on. I don't know if it's going to be as good a season as I thought at the start for the Rebels, but I do think they're going to go in 2 wins on the trot, and, well, if they perform well enough, they could be leading top of the table again as well, with 2 bonus point victories over the Sunwolves and, of course, the Reds. But I think the Sunwolves going to give them a bit of a nudge. That's why I've gone very, very close, because I just can't see the Sunwolves letting them get away. They are just too passionate about their rugby there, which is what I love, and I hope to see more of that from them all season long. Right, Rebels by 2. Remember that? We'll cap it at the end, and we'll go on from there. Let's go on to our next match, halfway point here. Match number 4, 3 more to go after this. We've got AMI Stadium in Christchurch, whatever you call it, Rugby League Stadium. I don't care, Christchurch. Get a new stadium already, witches. It's the Crusaders versus the Stormers. Stormers, I'm going to go with them first because they should be kicking themselves massively for losing that game against the Waratahs, because they should have won. Now, I know you're probably certainly saying, yes, but the Waratahs, they played full 80 minutes. They played a full 82 minutes to a degree by scoring right at the end, which they did. Yes, credit to them. They played all the way to the bitter end. And the Stormers, that's why I'm saying this, because they only have themselves to blame. Did the Waratahs win that game, do you think, or did the Stormers gift it to them? Chance after chance after chance in that final 10 minutes especially. Stormers are a very good side. Scrum was perfect. One of the best looking scrums I've seen for a long time. Line out. Dreadful. So bad their line out was. Yes, I know. We've heard all about it. But Itzabitha's not playing. Oh, if they get Itzabitha back, they'll be a lot better. I don't care. Fact of the matter is, Super Rugby is now. You've got to have a team that can perform. A win on the road in Australia for the Stormers. A draw on the road in Australia for the Stormers. Priceless. You can't put a value on that sort of points gathering on the road. The Stormers, they'll be a team that'll go, yes, if we can go back to Africa and have 5, 6 points in the bank after our road trip, that would be so good. And now they look in and go, we got a bonus point against the Waratahs. Yes, yeah, you got to be happy with that. A bonus point is good, but you should have got more. You should have got more, Stormers. You have a very good squad, a very good overall side, and you've got to put those games away like that. Just not finishing at the end. Should have won that line out the front, nice and safe. Get that percentage line out take at the front. Do the simple things well. Put it down, quickly develop a ruck, drop the maul straight down, ruck it, throw it to the half, and get it out. Get it out. Take a draw. Stormers, you've got to take those points when they're on offer. I thought they played pretty well, though. Like I said, their scrum was excellent. Line out was so bad. Overall around the field, though, backline performs pretty well. I don't think it's still really decided who's going to be their first 10. Williamson played okay. They didn't really gain much, lose much when they swapped those guys around. They've got to sort that out properly, and they've got a guy there consistently performing for them. Instead of not really knowing who's going. Williamson seems to be the man for them, so I hope he picks up his game and becomes a pivotal figure for the Stormers going forward. But they're up against Crusaders. And well, the Crusaders are a team that will not let you rest. They will not let you have a second chance. They won't say, bad luck, Stormers, have another go, and then we'll carry on. No, it's cutthroat. It is relentless. It is winner take all. The Crusaders are here to win. They are champions, and I can't see them giving a second iota for the Stormers whatsoever. The Stormers are going to have to play the game of their lives here. The fact they didn't get over that little hump that was the Waratahs, now they're getting to the stage they've got to go to astronomical levels to take out the Crusaders. But we know it can be done. They are not unbeatable, the Crusaders, but the way they're playing at home, Stormers on the road, really bad tour in 2017. Nightmares will be coming back to them as well. I can't see the Stormers getting anything out of this game whatsoever. Crusaders, too good around the field. Too good of players, too good of coaches, key men everywhere. Seem to be fairly well fit. I don't buy into the problems they've got in the back row of number 8. No problems here whatsoever. When you've got players like Taufua, Samu, and all those guys sitting there, you know, on the bench and reserves, there's no issues there. There's no issues whatsoever for this Crusaders pack or the backline. They are destructive and they look so good already this season. Playing their typical Crusaders game. I talked about them a lot in the opening game when we talked about the Chiefs. It's just Crusaders. I think they will probably go grind down the Stormers side, put their heads in the dirt, and then they'll canter away with a victory. I'm going Crusaders by 16 for this one. Maybe a bit light, but I think the Stormers are a good enough side that if they can get into this game and do something, they could score some points, but the Crusaders just too professional, at home, hard to beat, hard to put away for even the best sides in the competition. Crusaders by 16. Let's go on to our 5th match of the weekend, which is at Growth Point Kings Park in Durban, with the Sharks returning for their 2nd game of the season. Of course, they lost their opening game to the Lions, then had the bye. So now they're back. And they're against the Waratahs, who have gone from Australia. Big trip over to Durban for game number 2. Now, I like the Sharks. Although they played a pretty good game against the Lions in round 1. That was the battle almost of the conference, wasn't it? You almost thought, is this conference over for Africa with the Lions playing so well? But now we see the resurgence of the Bulls. You've got to take a step back and say, it's going to be a cracker of a season here in Africa. The Sharks, the Lions, the Bulls now as well, going pretty good. Stormers, it's going to hurt them being on the road straight away, as the Hurricanes for that matter. But they'll come back and they'll go home and they'll be a lot better, I can guarantee you of that. But today we got Sharks up against the Waratahs. Unconvinced by the Waratahs in their opening game. Everything pivots around Foley. I think if you're looking for a game plan against the Waratahs, target Foley. That is all you need to do. Take him out, put him out of the game, and they lose pretty much all of their attacking intent as well. So that's going to be where the Sharks aim to dominate. And what we've seen from the Sharks' new fly half as well, he was magnificent in the opening game against the Lions. He's going to have a big match up against Foley in this next game. The Battle of the Tens, that's going to be huge and will dictate the winner of this game. I think the Sharks should have it in the pack. We've seen the Waratahs pack get destroyed last weekend, so I expect the Sharks to do much of the same as the Stormers did last weekend as well to the Waratahs. And the back's going to be where it matters. I'd like to see what the likes of Mapimpi's can do against the Waratahs outside backs. We're going to see a lot of Foley. We're going to see a lot of high balls. We're going to see a lot of Falau. That is what the game plan has got to be for the Waratahs. That is track number 1, isn't it? That has been all of what they can do here. Put that up, and that is what results in points for them. Foley, Falau, big players in the back line. Now, the Sharks, and again, a good side. Overall, I think they're going to be one of the front runners of the competition. And being at home, if this is on the road for the Sharks, I'd probably take this a lot closer than I already am. But I'm going to go Sharks with the victory to do this quite easily over the Waratahs. It's still going to be pretty close, but I do like the Sharks side a lot better. And going to Africa in round 3 of the competition, it's tough, but at least they had one game at home, the Waratahs, which helps. And again, game by game, does that help or hinder the Sharks? I wonder. It's the biggest thing. We're going to see much of it from the Highlanders, who are having game by game as well. And the Highlanders actually have 2 byes in the opening 7 rounds of the competition, which I think is not good when you have to go the rest of the tournament without any byes. And then, if you're lucky enough to make playoffs, you go on to them from there. So, big call here for the Sharks. They've got to come out. They've got to take what they learned from the Lions, and they have to really punish this game here. And they've got to take the win versus Waratahs, who are living a charmed life, I think, at the moment. Lucky to get that win over the Stormers. And if they get anything out of this game against the Sharks, I would be impressed by what they can do. Definitely a lot better than last season. I think the Waratahs did have a lot more structure to their game. And they were pretty obvious about what they wanted to do too. They wanted to go straight to key men, and they wanted to go straight to key performances as well. So credit to them, and they stick to that. They could be a chance, but I expect the Sharks to shut that down. A very good back row the Sharks have as well, and they'll be the ones targeting straight off rucks, straight off scrums, straight to number 10, Bernard Foley. My pick for this one is going to be Sharks by 5 over the Waratahs. Yes, I would want to go more, but I think the Waratahs are a good enough team now to keep it close. But I don't think they're going to pick up the win. One scoring play is always going to be Sharks still to take the win and their first win of the season. Okie dokie, just 2 games remaining in round number 3, and it is the Bulls. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been loving giving me stick about the Bulls as well, and right you are. We'll talk about the Bulls. They're up against the Lions in the next round, so round 3. This is going to be tough. Very tough for both these sides after what we've seen from the opening 2 rounds, and of course, the Bulls, their opening match, simply outstanding. Let's talk about the Bulls first, because I know a lot of you want to be talking about this side as well. So let's get stuck into the Bulls. Big thing about the Bulls that I found this week already: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Especially 4 and 5. Immense. Everyone's been calling it the John Mitchell special. That's what he does. Big boys running into contact and making the offload. Now, yes, the Hurricanes were woeful. I thought they were terrible. Their pack was just completely outperformed. From start to stop, it was Bulls dominating 1-8. And that is half the battle, if not all the battle, to win a game of rugby. You've got to win it up front. And when you give players like Pollard and the rest of that back line with the likes of Jesse Creel in there, they just go forward and they make the game line every single time. Then you get the tight boys back involved and they break tackles, then they pass, and there you go, 10, 15, 20, 25 metres upfield. Easy for the Bulls. They were so impressive in round 1. I'm going to take nothing away from them because they were exceptional in that opening game versus the Hurricanes. Fully deserved. I think that scoreline flattered the Hurricanes, to be honest with you. I thought they were that bad. They just got it all wrong. So many players were so poor for the Hurricanes, and the Bulls just had that tactic, that killer tactic that they just destroyed the Hurricanes up front, and that was just the end of the game from there. Bulls played amazingly. If they can do that all season, they are going to beat some good teams, and they are going to be the good team from Africa as well. But that's pretty much where it ends for the Bulls, though, because they are up against the Lions. Now, well, we talked about it before the season started, didn't we? The Lions are going to be up there as one of the teams to beat. A lot of talk about the Lions, coaching, players. Are they going to be the same Lions? Are they going to change? Are they going to evolve? Are they going to develop? What are they going to do? Well, we've seen it. We've seen it already. They're still damn good. They're still really good. They're still one of the front runners of this competition. They win, they score tries, they dominate. They do it with ease as well, and with the back three like they have. Kudzea, yes, we know Kudzea is amazing, but Diante and Mahuza, oh, put them in a green jumper already, please, South Africa, as soon as you get a chance. Diante especially has to be not put into the squad straight away and starting. No, not necessarily unless he continues this amazing form forever. But you've got to mould him. You've got to develop him. You've got to pull that guy through the system. Give him a taste. Keep him hungry. Make him want it more. He is a special talent. Mahuza, he goes to the likes of Pimpy as well. Big guys like that have big winning game mentality. Simply superb against Jaguares last weekend. I have no greater praise than for the Bulls' second row and the Lions' back three, especially their wingers. Those two, that's going to be the battle. The forward battle, though, is going to be big. And I think the Lions have good enough ability in that team. I think it is at Loftus, but I think the Lions still in Africa, still going to have that. It's almost a home mentality, isn't it? I mean, going from Dunedin to Christchurch for the Highlanders Crusaders, it's pretty close up the road. Yes, you'll get a few hated fans, but for a New Zealand team going to Africa, that is just completely different. Africa to Australia and the likes, that is different to going up the road to play in the same country still. So it's going to be all right for the Lions. I think they're going to adapt, and I think defensively and in the pack, the Lions are going to be a much bigger challenge than what we've seen from the Hurricanes for the Bulls. So that's where it's going to be an interesting fight for them. The Lions, I think, they're just clinical. They've clicked on, they've carried on, they've got more exciting talent. They are hard to stop. They are just looking superb. This one's going to be close, though. We seen a bit of a blowout last weekend against the Jaguares for the Lions. I don't think it's going to happen again. I've got this one a close one. I'm going Lions by just 4 points. But yes, Bulls fans, take it away. Your team looks all right and could win this game against the Lions. I do think it would be a bit of an upset, though. But they've already had one. Screw it. Why not make it two? Lions by a whisker for me, but this one is probably going to be my game of the weekend, I think, from how the Bulls played in round one. If they can back that up, this one is going to be a cracker between the Bulls and the Lions. Loftus, anyone around Loftus, get there. Get there and support these teams. Support African rugby, because this is good to see the Bulls back performing at this level once again. And hopefully they can keep it up. John Mitchell, I will happily say you're a great coach if you keep this Bulls team going very, very well. And who knows, we joke about it, but he could be coaching South Africa one day. So, you know, don't speak too soon. John Mitchell, he's still there, and he could be back in a big, big way as well with his Bulls team. So, Lions for me, just by a whisker. 4 points of margin there over the Bulls. Final game of the weekend. It's almost done. Don't worry. You don't have to miss your bus. We've got one game to go. It's the Jaguares versus the Hurricanes. Two teams that haven't won. Jaguares played 2, Hurricanes just 1. It's a brutal road trip to start off, isn't it, for the Hurricanes? Off to Loftus and then off to Buenos Aires. It's a tough start, but I mean, everyone's got to do it. Everyone's got to do it at some stage of the season. I talked about it last week, whether this is going to be a help or a hindrance to the Hurricanes to get it undone and out of the way quickly. We've seen they definitely weren't up to the task in round one. They've got to bounce back in a major way. They have some big soul searching to do to get their season back on track. And, you know, the Jaguares aren't a bad team. Let's talk about them for a bit. Last week against the Lions, they were very impressive, I thought, for the opening 20-25 minutes. I think they dominated that game until they got given that yellow card penalty try to the Lions. That finished it for the Jaguares. They come back later on, but by then it was a helter-skelter, do what you want, free-for-all training run pretty much between the two sides, which, bit of a shame, was a bit of a spectacle there for a while, and I think the Lions were a bit worried about how this game was going to go, because the Jaguares were playing very, very well. Boffelli was exceptional. They had a good game through the centres as well, and just, I thought they controlled it nicely through a very good forward pack that the Jaguares do have. A very good coach forward pack now, I'd expect as well, to get up to that level and challenge the Lions. They just need to control two things that are probably not really on the field now. It's mental stuff. Discipline and motivation, I guess you could say. The fact that if they go behind the scoreboard they can't drop the heads. We talked about that already with a couple of these games. But the Jaguares thought in round one they did fight back nicely, and it was nice to see at the end. And then against the Lions, they really fell off the boil. And that core middle area, either side of half time for 15, 20 minutes, they were at sea, completely away from the action. They need to take that start and that finish that they had against the Lions, and they need to bring that together to a full 80-minute performance. They could be a team to challenge some. We've talked about it a lot here. The talent is there. The players are there. They're good enough. They know how to play. It's just the execution. I think they're better than last season. I will go out and say that. Definitely improved team. And against the Hurricanes, I think this could be an interesting matchup as well. May not be the prettiest, may not be the greatest. You're probably going to have two teams who are going to throw quite a bit of caution to the wind, as the Hurricanes do play that way. All I can say about the Hurricanes is you got to start Beauden Barrett. Now, I've heard a few talkings and rummagings around about people being sick of Beauden Barrett. I'm sorry if you're sick of him or not. He's still the best player in the world. Back to back. He is still influential. He's still one of the great game changers of the current time, especially in the Southern Hemisphere. So him playing 80 minutes is paramount to this Hurricanes team doing well. They were a bit lost without him. Ehai West had a shocker. Absolute shocker. They need more from Julian Savea, who was really completely out of it in their round one match as well. Matt Proctor, I thought, was the only one I picked out. Playing him at fullback, I wasn't 100% sold on him being there, but of course we've still got the injuries to the Geordie Barretts and that, not full back into the swing of things as well. So I think he needs to come back into the centres, but I can understand just with players available, he is probably the best man for the job. But I do think definitely 10, and Julian Savea needs some motivation, man. He needs something to pick his game up. He is so far from the man we knew a few years ago, and I think his overseas stocks must be dropping drastically, because he's just not the monster he was a couple of years ago. So he's got to come back to that form. Yes, he had a good passionate Mitre 10 Cup, and he did really control and dominate that style of his game nicely, getting back to that monster that he is, but it's gone now. That round one game, I didn't see very much from him. One-on-one tackles, he was getting taken down pretty easily. Didn't seem to be a big target in that Hurricanes backline at all. So they need to sort him out. They need to get that back up. They need to start Beauden Barrett. West on the bench last 20, yeah, he can do all right there. But just doesn't have that same threat throughout that backline. When the players are all fresh and it's all even footings, he doesn't pose a threat. And he doesn't give Lamapa and Aso that space outside that they need to execute their game plans as well, which leaves even less space. Maybe that was the reason why Savea looked so poorly, is because that defence was able to shift out quite easily and not have to worry too much about that fly half channel. But I thought Wes Houston was amazing, but I didn't see the ball out to him that he could have done much more than the dirty little plays that he got. He got balls on the ground, he got bounce passes. He didn't get good service. Neither of the wingers really did. And I guess it's probably unfair to say Savea was that bad when his service out to his wing was pretty poor as well. So a lot to work on for the Hurricanes. Like we talked about with the Rebels, such a good team. They need to execute now. A very, very bad match. You can't win them all. But performance-wise, they were completely lost. And they need to pick that up big time here against Jaguares. Like the Jaguares, same thing. They need to get their game into control. They've got to get key players in there. And they've got to not give away yellow cards. What are you doing, Jaguares? You've got to sort that out. That is the biggest thing of all that you've got to sort out. It is just tear hair out sort of stuff. Such a good team. But I think this could be an interesting game. We'll see what these two sides are made of. This really could be a damaging part of the season for the Jaguares, because they've got this long home run as well. I think 7 games in Buenos Aires. They've got to come away with 4 or 5 wins from that 7. Realistically, as soon as they hit the road, their chances of taking victories are pretty slim. So they've got to target this Hurricanes. They've got to beat them. And they've got no other option. The Hurricanes could be making their way back to Wellington with at least a couple of losses to their name as well, which would be just terrible for their chances this season as well. But long season, long way to go. My pick before I close up here, Hurricanes by 12. I just can't see the Jaguares playing with 15 men for 80 minutes. Hurricanes, they've got to sort their stuff out. Question who starts obviously would dictate my picks a lot more. A couple of men make a big difference to this Hurricanes team. But I think, I don't think they will be allowed to play that way. Boyd will be absolutely onto them with an iron fist. Yes, travel. Get over it, Hurricanes. Get over it and perform to your potential. You're a top 4 team here overall. You've got to be performing at that level, and that was just despicable against the Bulls, who just put you in your place. Nothing more to say on it. Defense has to improve, and you've got to really get more into this game and perform. Got to perform. Can't play that game against the Bulls ever again. Okay, that is us. All 7 games done. As usual, far too long. As usual, far too long. But we've done it. We've previewed all 7 games for this weekend's Super Rugby action. Well, your thoughts are, just leave them in the comments below. As always, leave them there. And it's good to have a bit of a chat for you guys about what you think about the games as well. So we'll be having, as always, tweets coming throughout the weekend's action as well. So if you're not following me on Twitter, get into the action there. At Cornflakes Crib, you can follow me there and get involved. Have your say about what you think. There's always a lot of banter going on as we watch the games throughout the weekend. So looking forward to that once again. But as always, thanks for joining in and thanks for having your say and listening to what I've got to say as well. It is very enjoyable to make these Super Rugby preview shows. More guests coming in the coming weeks, but if you want to get involved, you know someone who knows their stuff about rugby, do get in touch and we can maybe have a bit of a chit chat about that as well. But until next time, thank you all for watching. Let me know your picks as well, and don't forget to make your picks for the SuperBru League. If you're not involved, do it. Get involved. Links will be in the description. You can check them out as well. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for round 4. Until then, thanks for watching. Take care.